Hey loves, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Ale, and in today's video I am going to be showing you all the books that I've read while in college. And before we get started with that book, I do want to apologize for not posting again in like a month. And I know that my last video was me also apologizing for not posting like a month, but as I've mentioned, I do want to take this as a hobby and not as a job. And I will hopefully soon be posting a get ready with me again, just kind of explaining why that was the case. Also, if you guys hear noises or like background voices, my roommate is, or my suite mate is here, so you guys will probably hear her. But anyways, let's get started with the video. The first book that I read starting in September was a novel love story by Ashley Postman, which is about this girl named Elsie who is, in a way, going through a breakup. I don't know if it's recent or not, but like I know that is like a main point of the book. And she is part of this book club, and they usually meet in a cabin, and in this specific like year they couldn't all meet up, and it's only her on her way to the cabin. And she ends up inside of her favorite author's book series, and she knows that the book series is unfinished, and that author sadly had passed away in the past. And she kind of meets this guy who she had never like seen before, or like heard about. She obviously hasn't seen anybody before, but heard about in the book. And it was a fun read. I feel like a lot of the reason why I didn't like it is because I knew other people who have read her book didn't enjoy it as much, and it also personally wasn't like one of my favorite books of all time. But I rated this according to my Goodreads. I went on Goodreads and got all my ratings. According to Goodreads, I rated this book at 3 stars, so it's still a really good book. It's just not one that's going to be on my mind. The next book that I read is Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood, and this is about a girl named Rue who is working for a STEM company. I forget what the company is, and this guy named Ellie comes into her, like, the company that she's working at, and in a way him and his partners are trying to like take over the company, and that's not sitting right with Rue. And like there is a slight plot twist in this. It was a really good book. I did enjoy it. I feel like Ali Hazelwood does an incredible job of writing about girls in STEM, and I am, as you guys know, getting my associates in science, so it's kind of fun to see or like read about girls in STEM. It makes me feel a little more like related, or like more relatable to them. Obviously I doubt this story will happen to me, but it's still a really good book. I really enjoyed it, and I give this book a 3 stars. The next book that I read is my all-time favorite book now. I think about it daily. It obviously has a 5 stars rating on Goodreads, and in my heart, it's honestly a 6-star book because it was just so good. And that is Not Reckless, but Powerless. I grabbed the wrong book. This book is about a girl named Peyton who is an ordinary girl and living in a like empire state, whatever you want to call it, where there are only elites, and she gets kind of like drafted to the trials, and she kind of fakes being an elite and starts to fall in love with Kai. And there's a big plot twist at the back. It ended in a way where like I just needed to pick up the next book, and it was just too good. Like, you guys have to read it. If there is one thing you get from this video, is that you guys need to go pick up this book. And I know it is lengthy. It is like 50-ish pages, but trust me when I say that I read this book in like 2 days, and I do not regret reading this book at all. And it is fast-paced, and you will fall in love, and her writing is incredible, and I can't wait for Fearless to come out, which is the 3rd book in this trilogy. The next book that I read was actually Powerful, which is a novella, and in my opinion a little unnecessary, but if you guys are already like wanting to be in that world of like the powerless world, I would recommend reading it. It was fun, it was good, it was witty, it was everything you need in a romance fantasy. And if you guys know, you know why this book is also important, but I don't think I'm allowed to say that without giving too many spoilers. But yeah, this book is just about Peyton's best friend, and it's just small, like 200-300 pages, and the book itself is small, so I'm sure I read this book in like 2-3 hours. So is it worth it? I don't know. Should you read it? Yes. The next book that I read, since I was on a grind and wanted to stay in the powerless world, is Reckless, which is the second book to the trilogy, and it just kind of continues Peyton kind of like surviving again. And I can't say too much about it because this is in a trilogy book, and if I tell you things from this book, like main parts of this book, you guys will know like what happened in the other book, and I'm just not gonna do that to you guys. It is shorter, it is really good. I rated this book a 3 stars. I also rated, I don't think I told you guys, Powerful a 3 stars. And I just can't wait for Fearless to come out. And this, like, the last 10 pages, the best plot twist, and I literally didn't think it was gonna end like this, and it did, and I need Fearless to come out like yesterday. Okay, the next book I read, if I am not mistaken, is The Things We Leave Unfinished. This is a historical nonfiction book about this girl named Georgia, who is the granddaughter of Scarlett, and Scarlett was an author, and Georgia makes a deal with this other author named Noah to finish writing his grandmother's book. Although she really didn't want to. There's a lot of like family drama in here. The plot twist is honestly incredible and like crazy, and I'm pretty sure it's based in Colorado, so it's like a different setting. It's historical. It was a really good book. I don't usually read like historical nonfiction, but this book, really good. I really enjoyed it, and I really do think you guys should pick it up, and just know you're gonna cry. And I give this book a 4 stars actually, which, if that doesn't tell you something, it's not a book that I think about daily, but it is a book that deserves its 4 stars without a doubt. The next book I read was Phantasma, which is another fantasy, and it talks about these trials that this girl, I forget what her name, Ophelia, is going through. She gets into these trials where the devils and demons are like in charge of him, and she goes into it originally because of his sister, but like at the end there's a love story in here. It is like plot twisty. It is honestly a really good book. I also think I read it at the perfect time, which was like right before like Halloween, and I just really enjoyed it. I haven't read any like scary fantasy books, and this book had everything that I wanted and needed at the moment. I give this book a 3 stars, if I'm not mistaken. The pile is getting so big. The next book that I read started an obsession with another fantasy book series, and I don't know why I didn't pick this book up sooner, but I was scared of it. I was scared of fantasy for the longest time ever, and I read Powerless and noticed that I had nothing to be scared about. But anyways, the next book that I read is A Court of Thorns and Roses, which is about a girl named Feyre and a guy named Tamlin, and it's kind of a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. only completely different, like it's only its own entire book. And I really liked the book. I really liked kind of like the atmosphere of it. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I do think that you have to go pick it up and read it without reading the back, because it was such a good book. I enjoyed it. I read it in like a day. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. I probably read it in like 2 days. It was really good. I really like it. Really love it. The next book that I read was The Fine Print, which is the first book of the Dreamland Billionaire. Oh, I keep forgetting. I gave this book a 4 stars. So, anyways, I have my sticky note, so I have to like count back in it. Don't mind me. Anyways, the next book that I read was The Fine Print by Lauren Asher, which is the first book of the Dreamland Billionaire series. And I don't think this book was necessarily for me. I think I just wanted to continue reading the series, and the fact that I couldn't mess with the rating of this book, excuse me, it's just about this guy named Rowan and Sasha, I'm pretty sure is her name. And Rowan is basically his grandfather's, like if he was the owner of Disneyland or Disney World, whatever, which one you want to pick. And he's like really rich, and she works for that company, and it is kind of like an enemies to lovers, which I didn't mind. And I will be continuing the series, although this book has a 2 stars from me. I just don't think it was this specific trope. I don't think it was for me. The next book that I read was none other than A Court of Mist and Fury, which is the second book to A Court of Thorns and Roses. And I give this book a 5 stars. And again, I'm not going to talk too much about it because it is the second book to a series. But let me say that people who I loved in the other book, I despise in this book. And people who I despised in the first book, I love in this book. That's all I'm saying. My little tower is getting huge. The next book I read was A Court of Wings and Ruin, again the third book to the series. I gave this book a 4 stars. I really think it was so good. This book is more about a war. I feel like I'm allowed to say that. And again, I can't talk too much about it because you just have to go read it, and then it's the 3rd book of the series. I don't think this is safe. Anyways, the last book that I read, and I finished it like 2 days ago, was The Crescent Moon Tea Room. This was just a fast-paced book. I wanted to continue the series, but my Walmart, that's where I get most of my books, did not have the next 2 books yet, and I just wanted to read something that was a little like fantasy. This is about just 3 sisters who own the tea room and like do like card readings as their job, and they find out that they're cursed, and it's just this whole rebuttal. It was very fast-paced. Not one of my favorite books. I give this book a 2 stars, but it's fast-paced, it's fun, it's fantasy, and if that's what you're looking for, you guys should pick up this book. Okay, so the books have officially fallen down, and I was gonna put them back up how I had them, but I am done with the video. I have showed you guys every single book that I have read while in college so far. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and comment down below just comment down below a pink heart, just to know that you guys watched all the way through. Anyways guys, I'll see you when I see you. Bye bye.